You know, in the world of open source AI, trust is pretty much the foundation of everything. But what happens when that trust gets turned into a weapon? Today, we're going to break down a heist that used a community's own tools against them. It's a wild story of deception, data theft, and honestly, a huge warning for the future of AI.
So let's just start with a number, 341. That's how many malicious AI skills were discovered hiding in plain sight on a super popular AI marketplace. Every single one of them was a carefully laid trap, part of this massive campaign, to steal people's most valuable digital stuff.
Okay, so where did all this go down? Well, the attack targeted this two-part ecosystem. First, you've got OpenClaw, which is this powerful AI assistant you can run right on your own computer. And then there's ClawHub, just think of it like an app store, but for your AI, where you can download new skills to make it even smarter.
So let's get into the nitty-gritty, the anatomy of this attack, which researchers have codenamed ClawHavoc. Now, this wasn't some clumsy brute force assault. No way. This was a slick, carefully planned operation that preyed on user trust and a little bit of clever psychological trickery.
And the core of the whole scam, it was honestly brilliantly simple. Just like researcher Oren Yamtov points out, you'd find a skill that looks totally useful. But buried in the instructions, there was this little prerequisite section, a classic social engineering trick that basically convinced the user to manually install the malware themselves.
The attackers were smart, too. They tailored the trap for different users. If you were on Windows, you were told to download a simple zip file. Something we all do, seems harmless enough. But if you were on macOS, you were given a much more direct and way more dangerous command. Copy this script and paste it straight into your terminal. For a power user, it just looks like a quick setup step, right? But in reality, you were handing the attacker the keys to the kingdom.
And that one little command, it kicked off this whole hidden, multi-stage infection chain. First, that script reached out to an attacker server to grab a second, more powerful script. Then, that second script delivered the final payload, a nasty piece of malware called Atomic Stealer, which is specifically designed to just vacuum up every valuable piece of data it can find on a computer.
So, what was the endgame here? What were they after? As the security researcher 6 Mile explains, this whole sophisticated setup was designed to steal the high-value stuff. We're not talking about just random files. We're talking crypto wallet keys, API keys for exchanges, and all your saved browser passwords. I mean, basically the keys to your entire digital and financial life.
So how on earth did the attackers fool so many people? Well, they were masters of disguise. They hid their malware inside skills that looked not just legit, but actually incredibly useful. Let's take a look at the different masks they wore. Their strategy was basically to cast a super wide net. They used typo squatting to mimic popular tools. They created these tempting lures for high-value targets, people in crypto and finance. They offered handy utilities for YouTube and Google Workspace. They even disguised their malware as something as boring and essential as an auto-updater. It's like there was a hook for just about every type of user out there.
And just when you think it couldn't get worse, oh, it does. Some of these skills went way beyond just stealing data. One of them, called Better Polymarket, actually installed a reverse shell backdoor, which basically gives the attacker a permanent remote control pass to your entire machine. Another one was designed to attack the AI assistant itself, stealing API keys directly from its own configuration files.
Which, leads to the big question. How did 341 malicious packages get onto a popular platform in the first place? Well, the problem wasn't just how skilled the attackers were. It was a fundamental weakness in the platform itself.
Seriously, how does this even happen on a platform that's growing so fast? How could it possibly be this vulnerable?
The answer is almost shockingly simple. ClawHub was designed to be so open that the only barrier to publishing a new skill was having a GitHub account that was just 1 week old. That's it. The gates were basically wide open, with almost no checks or balances at all.
So, to plug this massive hole, OpenClaw's creator rolled out a new community-powered defense system. Now, users who are signed in can flag skills that look suspicious. And if a skill gets just 3 unique reports, it gets automatically hidden from the marketplace. It's a clever way to use the power of the community to police itself.
Okay, let's zoom out for a second, because this whole ClawHub mess, it isn't just a one-off story. It is a perfect, real-world example of a fundamental design flaw in a lot of modern AI systems, a flaw that some experts are starting to call the lethal trifecta.
This idea was coined by programmer Simon Willison, and this trifecta describes a combination of 3 key capabilities that, when they all come together, create a perfect storm.
When an AI has all three, it becomes dangerously vulnerable by its very design.
So what are these three components? First, the AI has access to your private data, your files, your keys, everything. Second, it's constantly exposed to untrusted content from the outside world, like these third-party skills from ClawHub. And third, it has the ability to communicate externally, to send data back out to the internet. You can already see how these three things together are just a recipe for disaster.
But wait, there's one last ingredient that just pours gasoline on this fire: persistent memory. An AI like OpenClaw is designed to remember things, right? And as researchers point out, this memory acts as an accelerant, making an already dangerous situation so much worse.
And this is where it gets genuinely chilling. With memory, attacks don't have to happen right away. A threat can be fed to the AI in little, harmless-looking pieces over time, poisoning its memory. The AI just stores these pieces, waiting, and then, maybe much later, it assembles them to trigger the attack when the conditions are just right. It's a digital time bomb, built by the AI itself.
And that leaves us all with this massive question, right? The incredible power of AI comes from its ability to be open and extensible. But as the ClawHub heist clearly shows, that very openness can be its greatest weakness. So how do we find the balance? How do we innovate and build these amazing open ecosystems without just building a playground for attackers? That's the challenge we're all facing now.